Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Hermetic principle of mentalism to follow up to the Saturday esoteric lesson on depolarization. Depolarization was the concept of depolarizing between the two polarities. For example, Joaquin and Boaz, or the two pillars on the tree of life, justice and severity, or just duality in general, the fact that we can be triggered and become super dualistic and polarized depending on what side of an argument we'll take or what way we'll perceive something. And if we're polarized, we're easy to control. So it's good to understand the concept of depolarization as we get into understanding the 7 Hermetic principles. We'll be going with the Hermetic principles of mentalism. All is mental. What this means is that the universe was intelligently created. It wasn't created just because or just for no reason. It was created through an intelligent ray or an intelligent being, a being with a personality and a mind. This would be called, in the Egyptian terms, Adam Kadmon, or Atum, or we call him Elohim, the unmanifest Elohim, in the hidden light above Kether. We're talking about Kether on the top of the tree of life, being Kether, and Malkuth being the bottom, and say that supreme mind would exist outside of even that tree. This mind projects itself and creates a world akin to like a projection, and that creates a pressure, and that pressure creates form. So the masculine part of that would be the pressure, and then the form would be the feminine aspect and all the different manifestations of that one, while the one is still in and of itself. So for example, we'll take a loaf of bread. The bread maintains itself as it produces crumbs, but instead of diminishing, the bread stays its loaf, and the infinite crumbs come from that. So we're the infinite crumbs. And the crumbs have the same ingredient of the bread, and they can go back to the bread, but the bread will still be the bread and the crumbs will still be the crumbs. Now the bread is the supreme mind. All the crumbs are the miniature minds. Walter Russell discussed how all is mind, and each mind is connected to the supermind. So everyone's mind is equipped to go with the flow and create and manage its small bubble of existence that it's connected to, and bring down the highest ideals, the highest creative potential, and streamline it and download it into the physical body and actually create manifestations here on the physical sense plane. So we can take the universal mind and connect our small mind to it, essentially connecting like a small computer to a supercomputer. And we can do that through various techniques. One is just being aware from day to day, every day. When you're walking out and about doing your errands, just be conscious of your whole realm and in and of itself, of it being a mind, that you're inside of an intelligent being's mind, and that you're a miniature intelligence of that intelligence. And you'll notice synchronicities. It could be even like you could be listening to the radio and you could be conversating with someone, and as soon as you say something, the radio will say the exact word that you say exactly when you say it. It can communicate you through symbols, signs, synchronicities. This is all because the mind is intelligent. And when you begin to wake up and become aware, that mind notices you and looks at you. So as soon as you begin to wake up and notice the synchronicities and follow the white rabbit and follow your consciousness, the more it's going to become aware and cast its gaze upon you. The divine mother, or this physical realm, begins to cast her gaze on the child that becomes aware of itself, the one that pays more attention. So the number one technique in the mental principle to understand, comprehend, and kind of use this practically is to become super sensitive to that mind connection and become overly aware and pay extra attention to all the symbols in your life, conversations, events, anything that takes place that is reoccurring. It could be a very strange event where, you could be maybe even watching a show that it has the same archetypal drama or something that is going on in your life. It could lead you to a phrase or a concept, and next thing you know, you're following these, and this mind is guiding you. Now, everyone's connected to this universal mind, but not everyone follows it, and not everyone becomes aware of the synchronicities. The synchronicities are good times to wake up and become overly aware and look around yourself as if you've never seen what is going on. You have to get used to looking at your physical dimension as if you weren't born here. Try to look at it as if you actually are from the light realm. Try to identify with the light and think like, what would light actually think, it being in a body and looking out? Begin to try to probe and poke your hand, or perhaps do a small jump to help alert your consciousness that you are in a more dense dream. Now, I'm not saying that this life and essentially is just a dream and of it's fake. It's actually more real than the astral plane in and of it's Malkuth at the bottom. Because it's Malkuth, it has a mixture of all the forces of the tree of life, and it has a mixture of all of those potentials, whereas the astral plane is missing this. So we come here to learn a lot and improve upon our individuality or our breadcrumb, so that when it can go back to the bread, it has self-knowledge. So in order for this to happen, we'd have to be connected to a mind. A mind is a processor of intelligence, the intelligence of the being, because the being uses the mind, that universal effulgence, to be everywhere and monitor creation. That's why in the Upanishads it says that there's three aspects of God. There's the God that sits and watches all things from of itself, omnipotent. There's the souls, the many, and then there's the universe where they reside. So there's that triple, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. The Father is that dynamic principle, and then the feminine aspects, the impregnating womb or the matrix, and then it grows and produces the universe and the souls, which would be the son or the child. So the project of mentalism, knowing that all things are connected to mind, we know that if we want to change a behavior, change a bad habit, or improve something, or help something, or help heal someone, or help heal yourself, you have to start in the mind and identify with the perfect aspect within you that's connected to the mind, because the mind's connected to the super soul. Walter Russell says all is mind. So if you just let yourself create naturally to akin, whether that be music or writing, you'll naturally develop these beautiful talents to be able to understand how to 100% continue to expand and create more and more perfect creations. And you can create more and more perfect creations by maintaining your elements and perfecting them and organizing them and purifying your earth, your water, your air, your fire, manifesting the spirit, organizing them. So that's living an organized life by paying attention from moment to moment and making sure that your mind is always in a receptive state, because as soon as you're not receptive, you're unable to take on the impulses from the higher realms. So that's what Rudolf Steiner talks about, that the mind must be in a receptive state. There's a lot of practices in Hermeticism, especially from Franz Barden, initiation to Hermetics. A lot of it has to do with the mind. So it's better to start with the inner being and to just understand and conceptualize that you're not the body. But once you're doing that, it is good to train the mind in certain aspects. So you can do different things like pore breath, meaning breathing, but through your entire body and your pores. So when you breathe in, imagine that your holes are expanding and the air is coming in and out of your body. This is helping you to identify with that space that's not the body. You can begin to really impress using your mind, the conscious mind, and impress upon the subconscious mind. The masculine mind is consciousness, conscious mind, will. Feminine mind is the subconscious mind. And that is like an unconscious realm. So when your conscious mind pushes upon that unconscious realm, it creates an outcome. And that outcome is your behavior, your actions. So if you want to change your actions, you have to change your conscious mind. And so that your subconscious mind soaks up the new idea or the new ideal and then creates a function to actually create a change, which is the manifestation or the child. So understanding the Hermetic principle of mentalism can really help you understand that all things change in the mind. If you want to change a negative habit, you have to literally change in your mind the idea, perception, and the way you see that habit. If you're glorifying, glorifying alcohol, then you would have to start seeing and change your perspective on alcohol in the mind and to see it for what it is. So instead of seeing it as something fun, see it as a poison. So by changing your perspective, your body will start becoming repulsed by it. Changing objects attraction by comprehension allows you to change the paradigm that you have upon the specific habit or behavior. And by changing the way you look at it, maybe instead of a sense of lust, you look at it from a sense of disgust and try to find the reason why it's not good or why it's not something that's, worthy of your time. Your body and your subconscious mind will begin to change its belief and slowly start to change. So also the Hermetic principle of mentalism lets you understand that all of this is intelligently designed. That's why if you look at your, look at your kitchen, look at your hall, look at the houses, look at the ancient buildings, look at everything around you is always perfectly formed because it's a projection of that universal mind, which comes from a perfect blueprint or a perfect cosmic realm. So even a pencil is a perfect manifestation, a comb, a leaf, a lizard, a little gecko. Anything is just perfectly manifested very, very particularly. And because of that, everything in this world is a reflection of those highest ideals on the tree of life. Because like I said, Malkuth is the bottom of all of that, where all things come and collide and manifest into individual forms so that we can take up and go back up Jacob's ladder into more lesser planes of existence. So in the mental plane, because the mental plane is projecting a physical body, we can understand that the mind is a body that we can develop. So when we go to sleep at night, we go into the astral emotional plane, but there's a plane above that, the plane of thought and ideas. So when you go into the mental plane, it's almost as if you're formless, but you have form and being. And it's almost as if you're in a world of thought and concept, a very light, free cloud light feeling, rather than in the astral plane, which is a very emotional feeling, or in the physical realm is a very dense physical feeling. So we can climb up these octaves in consciousness here in earth right now by practicing the great work that has been taught by great teachers that we have here, especially on this YouTube platform that we've all been able to find each other, as well as some of the greats, the books from the 1900s, in which they got it from the ancients, even more and more traditions that used to be an oral tradition passed down. But now that we have the internet, we were able to find all this information, connect it, and find that, now anyone, you don't have to be part of a secret society or a group or an initiation club to understand the mysteries. Now in the age of Aquarius, it's been given to all people to take on the great work upon themselves and improve them. So a good way to start is to start with some mental disciplines from Hermetic point of view. So training your mental body. I'm a fan of taking your thoughts and just watching them. And as you watch them, they slow down. And once they slow down, you're able to control them. Simple as that. Don't try to annihilate your thoughts. Don't try to not think about your thoughts. Simply watch them like clouds. As you watch them like clouds, you'll instantly identify with the inner witness or the inner being or the inner observer. And hence you will have illumination, which will then lead you to self-realization in the next stage. So we're going to be going on to each one of these Hermetic principles one by one and kind of dissecting them and understanding how to apply them. I recommend Initiation of Hermetics by Franz Barden, and just, it gives you a good outline of kind of Western, Eastern mix of various different practices that help you develop. It is using the mind. It is using the emotions in the body that have nothing to do with the inner being. But what it does is it breaks your identification with the elements so that you can understand who you are in a step-by-step fashion. So I hope that this helps anyone understand, how this world is intelligently created. It's projected from the mind of the eternal Christ, or the Krishna intelligent principle that manifest all of these layers. That's why all the stories are one, all the myths are one, the drama's one, our biochemistry and our physiology is perfectly in alignment with the celestials and the heavens and the dome. And everything is in perfect sync because this is how it is. It is the eternal it. Thank you.